Okay, let's get into the Nexus stuff. So I want to say a special shout out to Armchair because I got this from the post by Expert Armchair. So Expert Armchair had this very long post summarizing it, but I don't like the summaries. Now, I appreciate that he does it for people who like the TLDR, but that's not me. This is the Google Translate translation. So obviously this may not be perfect. So English warning here, but this is the Nexus write-up. And to me, even the little bit that I read of this, it's actually very telling, and in a way it's candid, and it's candid in what they do and don't give a fuck about. And to be honest, some of this stuff from a business standpoint, and as a person who's in-house counsel, can tell you it is entirely true that the CEOs and people running these companies, investing, they say they care about stuff, but at the end of the day, they have to deliver a profit, and they're there to make money. People that start businesses as CEOs are not doing it. I mean, some of them do it out of the kindness of their heart and because they love to do it, and that's great. But at the end of the day, they're trying to make some money. There are ethical ways to do this, unethical ways to do this. There's ways in which you can care about people while doing this. You don't have to be a heartless bastard, right? But this is pretty raw in terms of a breakdown here. And there's some parts where he really gets into the heartless bastard side. So here we go. The story of how I shut down an English-speaking V-Liver agency in a year. Nice to meet you. My name is Harry, and I run a company called 4Creators. We were founded in Singapore in October 2023 in the first quarter of our second year. This is about how I started a V-Liver agency specializing in English-speaking countries, only to have it go bust after 1 year. First of all, okay, let me start with something real quick. First of all, this is probably normal. Most companies fail, most businesses fail. So the fact that he died after a year is not really anything new. In fact, failure is part of what any person who is a person who runs a business or operates a business should get very comfortable with, and should at least be able to learn from the failures and learn from what goes wrong. As I write this note today, January 31st, 2025 marks the last day, as it marks a good turning point, and I would like to look back on the efforts of the company founding all the way to the pivot I've made as a reminder. The title sounds aggressive, but it is no heroic tale. What's the title? You shut down in a year. Okay, well, that doesn't sound heroic at all. It sounds bad. I have many regrets and realize I've failed many times, so I've written this frankly from my perspective with hope it'll be helpful to someone. Please read it as if you were a failure teacher. Well, that's not a bad thing, and to vindicate here, I hope people can learn from this in terms of how not to do things, right? Sure. So why an English-speaking V-Liver agency? I am half Japanese and half Taiwanese. I grew up loving anime, manga, and content. Okay, let's read the first paragraph and I'll comment. After spending more time studying abroad and interning at university than attending classes, I joined 17 Live, a live streaming app, as a new graduate in 2019, 6 months before the start of COVID. I went on to work as an assistant to Mr. Ono in the CEO's office for about 3 years, experiencing the top runner in the live streaming industry that exploded with COVID-19, expanding into US and Middle East, and failing and gradually losing everything to TikTok Live. After 3 years, intense years, I became independent. After working in entertainment and the Web3 fields as business development and marketing for about a year, I founded the company. So he was in more of the operations, marketing, business development side. He wasn't a liver. He never knew what it was like to be a liver or to be a VTuber, right? He wasn't even a streamer, from what it seems, although he was at the business operation end of the streaming. So he might have known something about the business of streaming, but not necessarily the experience of being a streamer themselves. I also love people that say they grew up loving anime and manga, which of course I do as well. But just because I love anime and manga, and this is for all you guys out there, just because you love anime and manga does not mean you should start a company, okay? And you should definitely not make it your business. A lot of people try to make their hobby their business. And you know what that does? Number one, it's usually not a good business. And number two, it ruins the thing they loved. There are things that I used to love a lot more that I actually hate because I tried to make them into a business, or, I did, quasi business with them, and now I just don't like them anymore. You should not turn something you love and taint it. It's introducing an impurity. it's like pouring oil in the water. It's not good. Completely different story. While searching for a business in a global entertainment and creator economy fields where I can utilize my strengths and weaknesses, I set sights on the overseas VTuber market. I wanted to take on the challenge of competing overseas with Japanese culture. Okay, so during COVID, he got interested in the overseas market. I wonder why. That's because during COVID, people were trapped inside and nothing in the West was good, and people had watched everything. I mean, the only thing, like, there was like one or two things to watch, and then once you've watched Tiger King, we all watched Tiger King, right? Like, you're kind of done. That was it. Like, there was Tiger King, and that was about it, right? And then you're just like, all right, well, what's out there? Anime, a lot of it, and that's when a lot of people got into anime, and a lot of people got into VTubing. But that was a bit of a blip and a bit of an inflection point, right? Where a lot of people that got into both anime and VTubing were perhaps the types of folks that came with notions that they're bringing from other areas into VTubing, right? And porting those over into VTubing. So before starting the company, I traveled to anime conventions in Southeast Asia and North America, making appointments to meet with presidents of local VTuber agencies and others. I listened to what each market had to say, and I came up with a hypothesis. A gap of several years between Japan and the global market are one of the few new cultures originating from Japan. While a big trend started in Japan and is spread all over the world thanks to cover in any color, there's a gap in the market. The current state of Japan is an image of the overseas market in a few years. Isn't this one of the areas where reverse time machine management can be realized? I don't know what the fuck he's talking about. I think what he's talking about is that there's a lag between when things are popular in Japan and when they're popular abroad. Maybe that could be it. So trends in Japan take a little while to get abroad. That could be a thing. The wave of the long tail is coming. And when I talk to overseas V-related people, everyone says YouTube and Twitch are saturated and there's too many competitors, but there is no other place to go. In Japan, platforms such as Reality and Irium are the destination beyond that, but overseas are still in the early stage. Reality has already exploded in North America, but when I talk to distributors, there's a challenge that they want to become VTubers, but making an avatar in North America is quite expensive, and local illustrators are twice the price range in Japan. So it is impossible. In Japan, there are options to make avatars as cheaply as you want on Coconala and Booth, but there's no place like that. I felt like we're entering the long tail. So platform formed, YouTube, Twitch, Big Stars Born, Kazuna AI, Hololive, Nijisanji, big agencies, Vishojo, Brave, long tail indie VTubers, mid, low tiered agencies, new platform, Irium, Reality, TikTok. Well, TikTok's already around, so I don't know about that. But I guess they're saying that they're going to become big. That's wishful thinking. I mean, they haven't proved that yet. Maybe they're big in Japan, but as we well know, a lot of platforms and even things can be huge in Japan and can just completely flounder outside of Japanese culture and outside of Japanese society. I mean, the fact that fax machines are still actively used in Japan should tell you enough about the fact that some things only work in Japan and they're specific to Japanese culture, right? And Japanese work culture or Japanese consumption culture, right? Very specifically. And these products don't work anywhere else. And I see this living in Asia, right? Where there's certain products that when I travel to Japan are only available in Japan. There's certain types of products that are not available in Japan that are pretty much ubiquitous elsewhere. And you understand this when you look more deeply at the market than just anime. Although the live streamer agency model is highly dependent on the platform, it is a business model that makes it relatively easy to make cash without digging into the red. So I decided to start it with the idea I could make cash as a live stream agency, expand my network, and move on to the next business. This is the killer. It is a business model which is easy to make cash without digging in the red. This is exactly why this man, number one, it reveals two things. Number one, why he was destined to fail. Anytime something is quote unquote easy to make money in, you got to ask yourself, no, is it really easy to make money in, or does it seem like it's easy to make money in? Do you think it's easy to make money in? And beyond that, are you capable of creating what's needed to make that money? And second of all, obviously that's your clear motivation. And now this is, I'm going to be honest, I do kind of on some level appreciate that he's being honest with his intentions here. Look, I don't expect business people to be out there for the fees or whatever else. I don't expect them to be out there, but just full mask off. Like, I don't give a fuck about the livers. I'm just here to make money and burn the business, and just to say that like that straight up without even concealing the fact that that's why he's in it. I mean, it takes some balls. To be honest, that's a lot of business people though, guys. That is a lot of people that just want to flip the business, right? If you've read Millionaire Fastlane, right? They talk about the easiest way to make money is to build a business and then sell it off to somebody else. And that multiple you sell it at is going to be huge. And then you just go on to do whatever else you want to do, right? You can just flip that money into another business or retirement or whatever else you want to do. It's not technically wrong, but it feels, especially in the VTubing context, morally wrong, because there's people you're leaving on the other end of that. And there's people that are going to be stuck in a bad situation because you don't give a damn and you're just going to flip it for cash. There's real people that are going to be hurt by that. But it is honest. And I will say, at least it's honest, but it's full mask off. Yeah. But I don't believe it's easy. And I think that that's wrong. And if you speak to any successful CEOs, like if you speak to Sakana will even say, I think he's even made the statement that the market is saturated, in his opinion, right? For agencies, at least. There's not really room for more agencies to come in. And it's not that easy. And the margin isn't what they think it is. Now, it can be, it has potential to be, but it's not that easy, especially at first. And you see over and over again these scummy corporations popping up. And there was another one in Singapore that popped up that was scummy as well. Was it VSEA? Right? It actually said they were in Singapore. They weren't even based in Singapore. I think they were just claiming to be in Singapore. But there's these people cropping up because they think it's easy money, and then they're realizing after they're bankrupt, oh no, this wasn't easy money. It's not easy to monetize. Where is the value of an office? However, there have been major concerns about the agency model. As the creator economy evolves, the value of agencies is fading. That's true. As a result of the increase in the number of tools available online that allow individuals to obtain information, find work, and create content, I feel that it is becoming more difficult to create things only agencies can do equal value. This is true. And I've said this before, and many other people have said this. I know my good friends have said this, is that you should be indie. I think at this point, you need to really justify to me why you want to be in an agency. Is it just to have friends? Is it just to be in an exclusive club? Like, why do you need to be in an agency? There's some benefit to it if they get you big advertising contracts, but that's a very de minimis agency, kind of an agency that just manages advertising contracts for you, or does that sort of stuff. Because there is a need to vet those people, and it's a lot of time to vet sponsors and people doing ads for you. It's a lot of time, and I don't want to. And most people like myself, I don't like to do that. That's why I don't have many sponsors. I don't really like to take sponsors because I have to spend a lot of time vetting them if they're real and scams, etc. It's better to have somebody do that for you, but you don't need an intense agency for that. You just need somebody that you enter into an agreement with, and they take a percentage of that cut, and that's all. You control 100% of your own content. That's about it. That's about the only need I can come up with for agencies, to be honest. On the other hand, live broadcast agencies are a world where more people you have, the more you'll earn. Rather than having 10 talents who can earn 10 million, the model is to have 100 talents who can earn 1 million. This is Niji Sanji. So literally, he's talking about the fucking Niji Sanji model. He's saying the money-making model is Niji Sanji, where we spam out talents who can make 1 million. Oh, man. At 17 Live, where I used to work, I saw many agencies that were only that in name management were in reality just taking fees without being close to the talent. I strongly felt I never wanted to be in such an exploitative state. Here's the problem. He goes, but on the other hand, it is difficult to provide comprehensive support at large scale. Since the amount of money earned per talent is not high, the management costs per person are never low, and they need to be low. So he's kind of saying it's okay to do nothing for them because it's difficult to provide support for them. So because it's difficult to provide support for them, we're going to just take the money. Always read after the but. Oh, I know I don't want to exploit them, but it's hard to do, so I don't want to do it. That's Niji Sanji's response. This is exactly what this is written by Riku. I mean, I know it's Harry, but like this is the mind of Riku. And this is very much how Riku thinks as well. Oh, well, it would be so expensive for us to give everybody a personalized support. So you have to share a manager, right? You have to share, resources. You have to share people. You have to share support. And if you're, if you play nice, if you're a favorite, you'll have a smaller pool. Maybe it'll be like the VIP, right? That person will only manage 3 or 4 people instead of 20. The Great Fire. Oh, and I think this is where we start getting involved. I think this is where legal mindset starts to pop up when the fire gets raging. So here we go. As we prepared, the debut was happening soon. We were confident we could unveil the concept and the schedule for debuting them in 3 days. We were bombarded with anti-comments. So they had all of these people up there. We received comments like, this will never work. It was too far removed from conventional wisdom. Why would they do something so reckless? Who is this stupid founder? I understood they might not understand, as a lot of the talents from unknown agencies are debuting on unknown platforms. They are hurling heartless comments at the talents, which is just demotivating. To be honest, seeing something that took more than half a year preparation being slammed so harshly in front of my eyes and people saying things like, the talent must be stupid to join an agency like this, made me emotional. And I ended up responding to some of the comments in a way that was like a battle of words, only to add fuel to the fire. I truly regret it. Do you know what a drama tuber is? There are streamers all over the world who love gossips and scandals, and we all fall prey to them. I'm on a drama tuber stream. No, a terrible fate, a terrible fate. Oh, just before the debut, various drama tubers dug up on my LinkedIn, Twitter, and even my past company information on their streams, and I lost emotions while watching them criticize me with misinterpretations that were full of misunderstandings. I think it was a good experience. Now, no matter what I did, my mind wouldn't work at all. I canceled all meetings and stayed in a sauna near my house for 5 hours to meditate and recharge my mood. Even if I was depressed, my debut stream would start the next day. So I apologized to the talent and told myself, the team, to do my best without thinking about necessary things. Okay. See, let me just say this real quick. He clearly didn't understand the market. If he didn't understand that there are people that cover VTuber news and you have to sort out how you're going to think about them, interact with them, your PR strategy beforehand. Are you going to interact with them, or are you going to completely ignore them and do your thing? Because there's 2 different ways you could go with this. You could actually work with them and you could be like, hey, I want to announce this with you. I want to give you a chance for an interview. I want to give you a chance to ask me questions, right? Or whatever. You could be collaborative, or you could tell them to fuck off. You could be like, hey, Rev, suck a carrot, hey, Kyo, get out of here, bunny boy, like whatever. Rima, go clop in Vosh's direction, whatever it is, right? You can tell everybody to go away. And by the way, I'm joking, and to a certain extent, all these people I have no problem with. I like them all, and I think they have a valuable niche, right? But that said, you have to figure out your strategy. Clearly, he didn't know about it, which means he didn't do market research. He didn't understand the market. So he was going into this without understanding the basics of VTubing and the VTubing market and how a lot of VTubers communicate, how the ecosystem they operate in. So he was not prepared for this. So this shows he was dramatically underprepared for this. Mary's public execution broadcast. Sounds so bad. Holy. As the controversy grew, I received a DM from Merriweather, one of the top EN VTubers with 400,000 followers on X, 500K on YouTube, and 300,000, asking me to talk on my channel. He said he was a president of a webtoon company and a VTuber agency and was genuinely interested in the concept. I decided to appear on Mary's stream without a hesitation, thinking, if this doesn't clear up the misunderstanding here, there'll be no turning back. So he invited them to come on, and he said yes. So this was a gamble. I was bombarded with questions in the live stream in a language I wasn't a native speaker of, without making any mistakes that would be a reward for drama tubers, and without being informed of the questions in advance, so it could have been a public execution. Why the did you go on the stream? To be honest with you, why would you do that? You see, trying to come up and cope, because you said just previously, oh, I thought I could clear this up. This was a good concept. He had so many followers. You wanted, oh, sorry, here it is. He wanted the clout. He wanted these people that give him the clout without giving him pushback. And the problem with live streaming is you're gonna get pushback. If the chat doesn't like what you're saying, they will fucking rebel. I mean, you guys know. And the problem, and the thing about live stream, which is good and bad, is that you get feedback instantaneously. Unlike the mainstream media, unlike everywhere else, where see all these fake fluff pieces where the media will bring in a company and they'll ask them a bunch of softball questions. If you're going to go on a live stream, you're going to get extremely difficult and uncomfortable questions. So you probably shouldn't do that unless you are really, truly open to that, which honestly, most CEOs aren't. And to be honest, legally speaking, if I was the attorney for a CEO of a VTubing agency, I would tell them to extraordinarily limit what they talk about, because they could end up in some hot water for answering questions which they're legally not allowed to answer, because anybody can ask them anything, including stuff that might be under NDA, stuff that might be securities violation. There's all sorts of things. So as a CEO, you have certain fiduciary duties. You probably shouldn't do that at all. But he wasn't thinking about that. He was thinking about, oh, this guy has 500K followers. I want those followers, right? That's what he was thinking about. And he's upset that he got hit with hardball questions, right? I had asked some people who knew Mary beforehand, and they told me that she wasn't that type of person who maliciously attacked people, but rather someone who expressed her own opinions while being fair and close to her fans. Okay, it's not malicious, but if the fans are roasting you, the streamer is going to go with the fans. This person, I don't know. Yeah, someone in the chat said it. I don't know if he's not business savvy, and I think he may have some like social awareness issues as well. Someone in the chat said that. Thank you. In a 1.5 hour live stream, I desperately answered tough questions from Mary and her fans in English. I was so nervous before the stream that I couldn't get anything out of my mouth, but I didn't make any particularly dangerous remarks or sow the seeds of misunderstanding. I did better than the Fuji TV press conference. It's not saying much, right? So there you go. I guess he was on there. Mary and I became great friends, and he openly supported Nexus. My haters started to disappear as he thought, if Mary says so. He even volunteered to give special lectures on Nexus, and we became good friends, and we'd go out to eat together, which was a relief, right? Early success. The controversy raised the attention on the contrary, and the performance on debut day was excellent. The talents prepared with all their might, and the viewers were excited. At the time, the affiliated platforms were spending a lot of money, so the harder the distribution, the more the talents earned, and the events were in fierce competition state. I think there was a sense of excitement that was unique to the early days of live distribution apps. The audition that began immediately after the debut had 400 applicants. That's a lot. Even though there had been such a huge backlash, there were still 400 people who sympathized with the idea and wanted to join. It definitely gave me the feeling of the long tail trend I mentioned, and the expectation for a new platform and the expectation of a new form of agency weren't wrong. Why the office couldn't continue. After huge success in the debut festival, things were going well for 3 months, but then things started to go rapidly wrong. Envy and temptation to other platforms. In Japan, VTubers and livers were completely different. So there's no cost to explain. But in America, there's no distinction between them. Everyone aspires to be a VTuber. In the early days of Ethereum, VTubers were still in their infancy and live streaming apps were widespread. But in North America, VTubers were just starting out, and no people specialize in smartphone streaming. Nope. Why don't you stream on YouTube? When a talent interacts with other VTubers on X, they receive more invitations to collaborate on YouTube. Right. It's the place where people are. Same with, to a degree, Twitch as well. However, we restricted streaming on other platforms as a condition for receiving support for the platform. So as a business owner, he entered into a horrible agreement. He entered into a contractual clause. This is a contractual clause. It's a non-compete. He signed a fucking non-compete with a small distribution app that has no use in the Western world, trying to market to the Western world. Does not begin to explain the level of stupidity of that. That is one of the most stupid business moves you could ever do, to handcuff yourself to that. Why? Why would you do that? He didn't have a legal team, I guarantee you. And he probably took the contract from them. Their lawyers probably handed it and he signed it, not knowing what the fuck he was doing. Why would you do that? That's insane. In fact, that to me, if you had a board, your board would remove you for breach of fiduciary duty for that. That's insane. You're a new agency and you're going to marry yourself to one platform, and the livers knew this, or the VTubers knew this. That's a death certificate right there. Boom, that's done. So the talent had no choice to explain, my agency stopped me. And you didn't think that the fans are going to get mad about that? The talents became negative, saying that's the worst. And then as we started to relax restrictions, the talents naturally moved on to the fun side. But the main battleground is unclear. I don't know what that battleground unclear part is about, but this stupid contract. Difficulty in encouraging commitment. Ooh, here we go. Here we go. Contracts. All right. Contracts that cannot enforce streaming times. There are many legal and culturally strict aspects to running an office globally. Specifically, there is the dilemma that if a contract imposes even the slightest obligation, it will take on the character of an employee and the company's scope of responsibility will be stronger. Inevitably, the contract was loose and most important aspects of the business, streaming times and commitments, became elements that were the least controllable. Looking back, I think there was a way to do this better, such as indirectly encouraging them to stop if they did not achieve their streaming goals rather than making an obligation. Attitudes towards mental health. The attitude towards mental health in the West and Japan is completely different. I can't even finish this. It's so ridiculous. It's obvious. It's so obvious. It's like a joke. If you've lived or worked here, you know this is definitely not a thing. It's difficult to write this in words without misunderstanding, but it was an environment where it was difficult to use the Japanese style gutsy approach or the push type approach towards commitment, yet meaning to yell. Yeah. Okay. So Japanese workers, their office people will just yell at them. They're just going to get yelled at. Okay. Like if you guys haven't been yelled at, I mean, that's typically how things are going to get done. And they're just going to tell you to fucking do it. Like it's not going to be like, oh, well, this corporate speak about your feelings. It's going to be like, get this done. Right. Like this needs to be done. Do it now. Right. There's no mental health breaks or any of that. That's funny. It should be obvious to early creators that they did not gather views and it was not all fun. But it was very difficult to stick a step further and communicate in a way that would motivate them while putting a little strain on their mental health. Well, I am a little bit of the mind here that there is a healthy median between the insanity of Japan and the frankly weak sauce of most of a lot of the younger, I would say younger generation in the West. There's a healthy middle ground. There's getting your work done and taking your work seriously and being told directly, get your stuff done. That needs to be done, right? Work does need to be done. But at the same time, you should not abuse them in their role, right? So obviously you have a job, you need to take your job seriously. However, there's limits. It's your job. And I've said this before. I said this on a separate thread. VTubing agencies want to treat you like an independent contractor. They do not treat you like an employee. Therefore, don't treat them like an employer. Let me say that one more time. If you're part of a VTubing agency, they're treating you like an independent contractor. They're not giving you retirement. They're not giving you 401k. They're not giving you health benefits. They're not giving you housing. They're not giving you any of that. So why? And technically, they can't restrict you from taking other jobs, even though they try to by contract. That's usually illegal in most countries. But yeah, why are you treating them like an employer? You have to tell them to F off. And it takes a lot, and especially for young people, because a lot of VTubers are young, very young, early 20s, late teens, right? They don't have experience doing this. Older people do. The hags, shout out to the hags out there. I love my hags. But, you know, it takes some time to be able to tell your boss or people you work with that you're not going to do that, and you're going to draw a line. It really does. And people do genuinely take advantage of that. And I think a lot of people, their first quote unquote job is VTubing. And when they realize, wait, this is real work, it's not just playing around with my friends, it's a real job. Yeah, they need to realize that. And I think there's a lot of people that do get into it that do need to realize it's serious work. Streaming is serious work. It takes a ton of my time to stream, but I like to do it, but I've gotten the patterns down and the habits to be able to do it efficiently. Here's enter the legal mindset. Ready? We're coming, guys. We're coming. It's time. It's time. It's time for me to enter the ring. Increase in staff costs. Yes, that's right, ladies and gentlemen. I'm being blamed for an increase in staff costs. You're welcome. You're welcome. Ready for this? This is insane. I love it, though. At the same time, Any Color's Niji Sanji En was in hot water. To put it simply, applying Japanese-style management to Western talent resulted in the top talent leaving. North American talent was managed by an Asia-based personnel, and the gap opened between the company and the talent who left started exposing various internal affairs in complete disregard to NDAs, leading to President Tagami posting an apology video. First of all, he's taking Niji Sanji's side in this. So he's taking Niji's position. He's saying that the talent is at fault for Doki Bird. Let's be clear. And we knew, let's not beat around the bush here. He's saying that Doki Bird is wrong for breaking an NDA. That is absolutely, bro. Are you serious? Are you really gonna go there? So here we go. Uh-oh! Who's this? Who's this? Regal Mindset. Reviewing an entire Niji Sanji VTuber contract at 11 p.m. This will be huge. Thumbnail updated to avoid implications. So I covered that. Yeah, that was a big one. A YouTuber and lawyer is publicly reviewing the leaked Niji Sanji contract in a hellish broadcast. A hellish broadcast. Good thumbnail, by the way. It's a solid thumbnail still. For Riku, it was hellish, right? Hellish. Interesting. Okay, what happened after that hellish broadcast? Although it was a different strategy, the talent was watching. So they literally were watching my stream on Niji Sanji. So we had no choice but to hire staff in the same time zone as a talent. And naturally, the labor costs were high. Because of my stream, and because the talent saw my stream, they were forced to hire staff they had to pay good wages to. We were under pressure to increase the number of talents and staff accordingly, and our cash was rapidly decreasing. Looking back, I should have endured this. We were not able to manage our business. Did I break them? Did I financially break this corporation? Holy shit. I think we may have done it, boys. Boys and girls, we may have done it. AI uproar develops in a boycott. The ENTV community had an extremely anti-AI ideology. See, once again, he didn't do the research. This is obvious to anybody who knows. Everybody knows this. It's understandable there are people who say AI art will take away from the illustrators' jobs and that anyone who uses AI art is the enemy. However, there was an extreme reaction to the affiliated platforms' expansion of distribution functions and creators using AI. Talent doesn't want to be disliked by people around them. They want their fans to like them, of course. So they don't want to get involved in the AI topic and start declaring things like, I'm not going to stream here anymore, and stopping. So they literally quit the other platform over AI because you didn't do enough research on that issue. Damn. Change the main battlefield. Focus on YouTube and Twitch where talents are interested. Well, you should have done that from the beginning. You should have done that from the beginning. And now you decide to change your position? That's so weird. However, when I spoke to the presidents of other small and medium-sized North American agencies, I found none of them were doing as well as I thought. The only ones able to sustain themselves were after we entered the market were either large cap companies that could burn money over several years or small and medium-sized companies that could secure investment funds from other businesses. Our initial hypothesis had slipped, but we had no choice but to conclude it would be difficult to aim for reversal by extending the line, the pivot in future. In the end, I decided it would be difficult to continue VLive agency and decided to close the agency functions. I once again think about the difficulties of a talent agency model. It is more rational to recruit talents who have already retrieved results. No function specialized agents will be a mainstream in the future. I think I get what he's getting at here. Managing everything is no longer in line with the times. Yes. And I feel the model specializes in some functions such as sales, merch, content, mental care, will not take away from revenue, is sustainable. He's actually right. This is one thing I do agree with him on. So he is actually right about this. I think agencies, or rather agents specifically, need to just do one thing. Like, hey, I'm the guy who can get you sales. I'm the person who does merch. I'm the person who can help you make music videos. These are actually things that could work. I do agree with him on that. That could work. Although it's different from the joy of VTuber agencies in producing from scratch, like creating character IP, the idea is to move forward towards the function of spreading and selling IP. The termination of the talent agency. The agency will officially close on January 31st, 2025. We have transferred Avatar and other rights to affiliated talents who wish to continue their activities as individuals. During the week where we are talking about closing and terminating contracts with our colleagues who supported us since the beginning and the staff who've grown as talent managers, I want to simply die from the pathetic feeling. Oof, that's not a good feeling, but he should do some self-reflection because he was a lot of the cause of this. After the closing announcement we announced at the beginning of December, there were a few people who said, I didn't think it was possible, but most of the voices were sad and said, why are you closing? And I was filled with gratitude. So people are already missing them after that announcement. He's going to rebrand. So he's going to say the net overseas VTuber field continues to grow. Thankfully, Nexus has a large network by connecting deeply with agencies and indies, mainly in North America and Southeast Asia. Although the talent agency approach didn't work, I haven't given up on the market and it will continue to grow and take time. In Japan, HoloLive may be the only well-known overseas market, but the streamer with the largest number of subscribers on Twitch is Iron Mouse, and Fillion's videos get over 100 million views per month. And it's starting to become more central to culture with top talent at the center. I agree. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of room to grow abroad for sure, if done right and marketed appropriately to the overseas audience. Aiming to be a global VTuber agency. By building the network and brand we have built up so far, when people want to do a project involving VTubers and anime influencers all over the world, we want to be an agency they call out first. My vision is to establish such a position for Nexus. That is a broad position. When people want to do a project involving VTubers and influencers, we want to be the agency they call first. What does that mean? It doesn't seem like it, I had such hope for him that he learned, and now he seems like he hasn't learned. This is not like what is this? Return to the basics. If you ask me, I want to continue as an ad agency. I'm in the exploration phase. Given the market growth is slower, I feel it'd be difficult to continue the agency business. I am well aware the golden rule is to focus. Yes, focus. But at the time, I am trying a wide range of things. Oh my God. I hate to break it. I don't think this guy's going to be very successful if he hasn't learned it. He knows the basic principle is to focus, is to have a niche, is to have a specific thing. And he violates his own rule. You have one job. Do one specific thing well. And if you can't do one specific thing well, how are you going to do everything well? Here's the rebrand. We want to create new cultures all over the world through supporting creators. To achieve this, we support creators and build the bridge between Japan and overseas. What does that even mean? I don't know what the hell that means. What do you want to do? What's your business? Are you going to build a physical bridge? Are you going to Panama Canal between Tokyo and LA? Like, what are you doing? Like, what's your business? What's your bridge? Are you going to offer plane tickets? What are you doing? Are you going to bring in Japanese people to America? Like, what are you doing? I don't understand what is his business. It doesn't say anything about what the business would be. We want to export Japanese creators. That sounds like human trafficking. Okay. Content and culture overseas. Once again, he doesn't know where to focus. Or do you want to focus on just sending creators abroad? Do you want to focus on the content itself and producing that and making music videos or culture, which culture is broader. Culture can go into food. It can go into merchandising. It can go into language, Japanese language. Right. Conversely, we want to see creators, content, and culture enter Japan. Well, how are you doing that? We will continue to support creators with an awareness of the world, spreading Japanese content and culture overseas, including introducing creators to Japan. This is corpo speak to me. We will not change this. Because my background is half Taiwanese and half Japanese, I honestly don't have a strong desire to make Japan win. I like a lot of overseas creators and content. I think it's hard to think of Japan as a subject, like Japan is losing, just because it grows. However, simply put, even though it is a place where unique culture is born, there are too few people who can globalize, and I'm ashamed of the situation where this is causing a difference in national power, and I would like to contribute. I don't kind of get that. I think it's like having to go outside of Japan is kind of shameful for Japan. I can see that a little bit. Among them, the company is starting to sell products and creator support program in Roblox. Okay. So they're doing creator support. So they are putting stuff on my anime list in Tokyo Otaku mode. And then they're starting a Roblox business. Okay. Is that what you want to do? Then just focus on Roblox. I'm working with a 21-year-old entrepreneur I met in Malaysia, where he lives, to develop solutions in Roblox. He's doing too many things. This guy is involved in too many things. What is Roblox? Blackpink. He's spouting off these buzzwords, right? Like, oh, Roblox is so big. It's a gaming platform with 380 million monthly users, where trend makers play for an average of 3 hours a day. This is like when boomers discover video games. They like discover these statistics, but they don't know how to monetize or make money off of it. They're just coming there ham-fistedly, and they end up failing. Right? They end up failing. I'm not surprised. After reading that, I'm not surprised about the failure of Nexus. When you have a disjointed corporate vision, when you don't know what you do and what you do well, what your competitive advantage is, what your strengths are, where you're coming in the market, you haven't done market research, you don't know the fans, you don't know the people you're selling to. That is probably the number one market you should look at, your fans. He didn't understand overseas VTuber fans. But that said, you need to really understand it fundamentally, and he didn't do that. So clearly there was a failure there. I'm happy that I contributed to the downfall, I guess, or at least that something that was bound to fail. Look, that corporation was bound to fail. The fact that that apparently Niji Sanji and me coming in with that stream at that time was a straw that broke the camel's back is hilarious. And I'm glad that we had a little bit of an impact in the right direction, because frankly, if a business like this is locking its talents in to contracts which are hamstringing them, that are keeping them from being successful because they have to stream on some obscure Japanese platform that no one in the West or in everywhere else outside of Japan gives a fuck about, I think that's hurtful to the people that are working for your company, that are trying to work for a living. You are hurting them, hamstringing them. And that was not good. That was not good. And the fact that you felt remorse for having to pay a real wage is shameful.